This week on the Cool Soror podcast, I get the opportunity to catch up with Tiffany Greene, the first African-American to call play-by-play on ESPN, and also Jen Price, the founder of Crafted for Action, and so much more here at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. Very excited to have Tiffany Greene here on the Cool Soror Show. Of course, this show is brought to you by Cricket Wireless, Camping World Stadium here as the Florida A&M University Rattlers take on Bethune Cookman University, which has now been deemed the most popular HBCU Classic in the country. Tiffany Greene, who is calling the game today, is a Cool Soror of the Beta Alpha chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Fall 2001. How you doing, first of all?
Oh, I feel lovely.
Yes.
I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad to be sitting next to you.
Listen.
The Rashan Ali.
No, this is the Tiffany Greene. I mean, you're a history maker. When people talk about, first we'll get into the game and the history of the game. When people talk about this amazing rivalry, what comes to mind for you? Being you're a Florida girl, I'm sure you came to these games prior to what you're doing now, but then to come back and be able to call the game as the first African-American woman to call games for ESPN, as a FAMU alum, how does that feel for you?
It's a full circle moment because I think back to being a little girl and it being in Tampa when it started out. And so everybody would come around from all across the country to participate, to be there. Then my grandparents' house is just right up the street. So when it moved to Orlando, we walking right up here to the stadium to take in everything. And then I think back to moments where my husband and I were the king and queen of Orange and Greene.
Right.
And when the Marching 100 was performing back then, there was a song called Contagious by Ronald Isley.
Yeah.
And so I was the woman who was stepping out.
Yeah.
And my king of Orange and Greene was who I was stepping out with.
So y'all did a whole routine?
So we did a whole routine on the field with the Marching 100.
I love
and so those are like beautiful moments that I remember and can take in. But then also coming here and being able to see the football teams, but specifically Florida A&M. You know it's near and dear to my heart. Having to be impartial in those moments, incredibly challenging.
Yes.
Especially when things are on the line. You think about the chance to go to the Celebration Bowl for FAMU.
Yeah.
Bethune-Cookman snatched it away.
Right.
And you have to be in the moment and just as excited for the Wildcats who are watching and saying, oh my goodness, that 99-yard, longest run in classic history by Tupac Ismi, or you're thinking about, the pick six by Henry Miller, to be the backbreaker, to deny Florida A&M. Those are moments that you can't take away. And as a sports fan, you just have to say, I enjoy it. I love it, no matter, regardless of where I went to school.
So when you were younger, did you imagine yourself calling games? Because for me, it was like, I want to do sideline reporting. Calling a game was never even a goal for me.
Oh, yeah.
What were your goals as a little girl?
I always wanted to be a sportscaster.
Really?
Always wanted to be a sportscaster since I was like 5 years old. And the thing about it was, I would watch John Madden and Pat Summerall. I would put the cup, my ear and try to listen and sound just like they sounded. I would watch baseball games and repeat everything that the broadcasters were doing because I just wanted to be in their shoes. And then a special woman came along by the name of Robin Roberts.
Yes, of course.
And so I saw her call some basketball games, and I thought, my goodness, this is class personified. She is genuine. She is authentic. She knows her stuff. And then I studied her background. We came up in bowling, and we had just, really a strong tie and interest to sports. And I knew I couldn't play it professionally, but I figured if I could be connected to it in some form or fashion, that would feed my soul.
Yes.
Right? Because I love the teamwork, the camaraderie, just the dedication that you have to play a sport. So to be able to report and call games when you think about those superior and elite athletes,
yes,
it's an honor.
Yeah, I mean, I think about my time as a sideline reporter and just the preparation it went for who you might be able to interview, who you might be able to tell a story about. You have to do that probably times 20 because you got to know about every player, because you have to have a nugget about if somebody makes a 20-yard run and you're like, hey, such and such a, he went to such and such a right down the street from here. You got to know that. Right. What is your preparation time like? And how do you get used to that type of rigor?
I think it's one of those things where you train as an athlete. Both you and I were college athletes, and so we understand the type of dedication that you have to it, and you take that approach no differently in broadcasting. So if I have to know, 11 guys on each side plus the other team, I'm thinking to myself, well, first, let me find some of the key players that people are going to want to listen in on, know about. But I'm doing game notes, I'm reading articles, I'm listening to interviews, I'm talking to coaches and players, I'm going back watching game film, like you're just taking time. And then the casual conversation also really helps.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? So when you're just talking sports, you pick up information and nuggets that you wouldn't necessarily think about. You're always consuming information. It's just like through osmosis, even when watching games. I'm also critiquing how other broadcasters are calling games. How are they getting in and out and setting up their analysts? So it's no longer just watching TV. It's really digesting everything that's happening. So sometimes it's fun and sometimes it's not, because it's just a part of who you are.
Right.
It's a part of who I am, and I love it.
Yeah. How did our amazing School of Journalism how did it prepare you for what you're doing now? I mean, I know for me, I always think about like, wow, I would not be as great as I am, and I can say that because we came from an institution that really fostered our growth as journalists. How does it feel to be representing Florida A&M wherever you go, not just today?
It's a tremendous responsibility, and it's something that I'll be honest with you that I prayed for. I asked God to give me a platform, and so Florida A&M helped to cultivate that and develop me into who I am. And they taught me literally everything I felt like in the School of Journalism and Graphic Communication. They taught me everything outside of like office politics, right? Like nobody can teach you that. You just got to be in that culture and situation. However, to shoot, to edit, to be versatile, the cross training that you have to be a sharp writer, right? And how do you write in different instances? Newspaper versus PR or magazine and broadcasting. Like all of that plays a role in it. And then the persistence that you have to have in the process, because you get denied, but that's what happens when we're trying to interview players, right?
Yes.
When we were trying to talk to coaches, you have to be persistent. You have to follow up. You have to enterprise and naturally try to find ways and ends to build relationships that you can get those things. So I think FAMU did all of that.
Yeah.
And when you are on campus with so many other talented individuals who push you and raise your level of expectation to say, okay, do I need to step up? Yes, I do, if I want to hang in this crowd or
because the level of talent at FAMU was vast. You had to be great.
Yeah.
So that when we went out in the world, we were already prepared because we had already been competing against people that were fantastic. Right. So that is great. So I'm going to let you go because I know you got to prepare.
I probably talk too much.
Look, I listen, we can spend a whole hour talking about what's going on. Coming off a convocation, though, being the convocation speaker at FAMU, most journalists, any FAMU alum always looks at that stage and like, man, I want to be there. You were fantastic.
Thank you.
You delivered. You did everything I'm sure that your heart desired. What was the best moment about being on that stage that day?
Being where my feet were. Oftentimes, when you have these tremendous opportunities, you don't necessarily soak it all in because you're so worried about the next step or the next thing you're going to say or whatever is in front of you. You don't necessarily take in and say, I'm here. This is that moment.
Yeah.
And when I got excited and I was filled, the spirit was moving in that place, like, you can't script that any better.
No.
And no one is going to be able to take that moment away from me. It was just like, Lord, I've arrived here on the stage that I dreamed to be on, and now that I'm here, oh my gosh, all I could do is shout hallelujah and say thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for granting this to me, and I asked him, hey, Lord, just give me the words that you want me to say. What I was most struck by, Rashan, is I wanted to inspire the students. I did not expect the seasoned rattlers and individuals to come up and say, you motivated me, you inspired me, and I was just like, wow.
It wasn't even for them.
Wow. No, I mean, it was hopefully a holistic, but you really want to walk away and say, okay, the students can take away something from that. But the fact that all rattlers were energized and ready to go, that's what it's about.
That's what it's about. Well, we're energized, and I know you're ready. You got to get ready for this amazing game today here at Camping World Stadium, where the Florida A&M University Rattlers take on the Bethune Cookman University Wildcats. You see, I'm getting it right.
Yeah, you're getting it right, because it used to be something else.
Listen, I ain't gonna get in trouble, because my best friend is next, and she was able to do both. She was able to go to Bethune Cookman first, then to FAMU. I'm like, what a perfect guess.
Yes.
I mean, whatever. Thank you so much. Call a great game. I'm extremely proud of you. I'm a groupie for you. Not only are you my baby sister, but I'm truly a groupie for your work and what you do and what you continue to do. Thank you so much for being an example for so many, not just me.
Thank you, Rashan.
Thank you. Tiffany Greene, everybody. Awesome. Thank you. Continuing our amazing episode here at Camping World Stadium as Florida A&M takes on Bethune-Cookman University. And I thought it would be apropos to have my best friend on, because not only did she attend Bethune-Cookman University, but she attended Florida A&M University because she was on a 3-2 program. I'm like, we're going to be in Florida. You haven't been on the podcast since I've revamped it. It makes sense for you to come on. So please show some love to my friend, my best friend in the whole United States of America, Jen Price, everybody. Come on in, Jen. Act like it's a whole bunch of people. It's fine. I love it. We had to bring you in like you were on Wendy.
I really appreciate it.
Yes. You just say that again. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate the thought behind that.
Right. Wow, your eyes look so fantastic.
Do they?
Yes. You have on makeup.
I look like this every day.
You woke up like this?
No, I did not.
It's fine. Totally fine, guys. Totally fine. Jen Price, you had the amazing opportunity to be able to go to both of these institutions, which today you are representing your Wildcats.
Absolutely.
And you're representing your Rattlers.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you have on the new Dunks. Both of us have on the new Dunks. Of course, created by Kate the Great.
Why wouldn't I?
So you got on double nail you.
I do.
Yes.
And in this case, it is warranted and acceptable.
Right. It is warranted and
Absolutely.
acceptable. So tell us about your experience at Bethune-Cookman. Why you chose BCU in the beginning, and then to choose a 3-2 program, knowing the rivalry of these two schools, or was that even in consideration?
I had no idea.
Of course, right? None of us did.
Nope, didn't know. But I got to Bethune, first of all, on a scholarship. I had already planned to go to Tuskegee University. I knew I wanted to be in engineering. At that time, I wanted to be in aerospace engineering. Tuskegee has a great program. They're an engineering HBCU, so I'd already paid my room deposit. And I think someone from Bethune, I don't know how they found me, but they called the house and talked to my dad and said that I was going to be offered a presidential scholarship, which is a full ride.
Yeah.
And Dad was like, she'll absolutely be coming in the fall. Nobody talked to me about this.
Right.
But he did ask me if I could call Tuskegee and see if I could get my room deposit back.
Right.
$275. They were like,
no. They were not going to have it. But I love it. I love that he at least attempted to try to get the money back.
Yeah.
Because that's who Don P was.
That's who my dad was.
Absolutely.
But so that's where I started. I knew that I wanted to be an engineer. Bethune-Cookman does not have an engineering program, but they do have sort of an exchange program with other HBCUs that do have a technical program. So like a FAMU, Tuskegee, North Carolina A&T, Alabama. All those universities are HBCUs that offer a technical program. So it was called a 3-2 dual degree program.
Yep.
So I started at Bethune and did 3 years as a pure mathematics major and took some pre-engineering courses. Transferred to FAMU after 3 years and was dually enrolled for 1 year. In '97, I officially finished my math program and got a math degree from Bethune. Continued at FAMU for 2 more years to get my civil engineering degree.
Right.
So,
You're just small.
I did both. It was an honor to have gone to both universities. Totally different experiences.
Yeah. You get to honor both today. I mean, on a beautiful day like this. I'm sure, though, because you had so many people that loved you at FAMU, when you thought about the 3-2 program, you could have gone to any other institution, any other HBCU.
I could have.
You could have. But the connection of FAMU, because I was there, Brianna was there, Tracy was there, and a lot of people who you love.
Chad,
and
T.
Terrence.
Murray.
Yeah.
A lot of our friends were already at FAMU, and it just made perfect sense.
Yeah.
You've been telling me about it. I had met some of your line sisters the summer before.
Right.
Because you had a party in Atlanta every summer before going back to school, and I met them. And it was just like all love. And y'all loved it so much and talked so highly of FAMU. It just made sense for me to go.
Right, man, that's a beautiful thing to get the best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
Let's fast forward to it. I mean, obviously you are doing great things and as a city planner, but your passion for Crafted for Action, Atlanta Beer Boutique, and all the things that you're doing as a black woman in the beer space, in the craft beer space, for those people who don't understand what that's like. I mean, I know we have limited time here today, but with Crafted for Action, let's talk about what you're doing in that space as a black woman in beer.
Yeah, you're spot on, Rashan. The reason why I founded Crafted for Action is because there is just a noticeable gap, a noticeable just black hole really when it comes to women in craft beer. You narrow that down to women of color in craft beer, and more specifically black women in craft beer. There is such a need there for someone to offer programming, to offer experiences, and to really begin to create like a community around that. And that's what we're doing in Atlanta. Just as a scene in general, there's like this movement happening with craft beer in Atlanta among black people. There are a lot of people in Greek letter organizations who are in that. So we've got members of so many Greek letter organizations, Pan-Hellenic organizations to be specific. Alpha Kappa Alpha is represented there, Phi Beta Sigma, Zeta Phi Beta, just...
And Omega too. Yeah, absolutely.
It's so beautiful to see that in Atlanta, being a chocolate city like it is, and craft beer just being on the rise. It's a proud moment to be a part of it.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you because, you know, what you created so many years ago of what you thought was going to be your brick and mortar at Atlanta Beer Boutique, and obviously the pandemic hit, and you had to literally change your plan for what was going to be your brand.
Yeah.
How grateful are you that happened so that Crafted for Action could be born in retrospect?
In retrospect, that's a good distinction to make, because it took a moment for me to get there, because it was a huge loss. I mean, not of the financial resources, but of like the energy that I put into it and the passion I put behind trying to open a brick and mortar location, and the timing was just off. So it took a minute to get over that, but getting over it and using that as sort of the platform for launching Crafted for Action, it would not have happened had I not had that loss of Atlanta Beer Boutique.
It would have never happened.
Because as you know, I had on my vision board a craft beer conference years ago. That's been on my vision board for years, and I had just never fulfilled it. I was like, one day, but the pandemic actually presented the perfect opportunity for me to launch a hybrid conference. So all of the panels are virtual, so you can watch them from anywhere. Access is a very big thing for me in craft beer, especially among people of color. The reason why we aren't in it is because we don't have access to it.
Right.
So just providing information to people, you know, it makes me feel really good about offering that and helping to grow the community and to create some depth there, because a lot of us are passionate about craft beer, but to then layer that with, you know, real opportunities to make change in the industry because you're educated and you know what you're talking about is just, it takes it to another level. So I'm just proud to have started it, and it has really given me a new purpose where I thought I was going to fulfill that with the craft beer store. I'm able to fulfill that still through Crafted for Action.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it. And you ladies, Craft Women Connect, you know, you create beers and partner with breweries in Atlanta and all around. I mean, I think this fantastic. You guys are doing work that has never been done. Have you ever taken a step back to really just embrace all the unprecedented things that you've been at the forefront of?
I probably have not, and I should.
Yeah, you got to live in it.
It's hard when you're in it and when you're doing the work. And it feels like sometimes it feels I have a little bit of an imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
You know,
but
I have that.
But
know,
you
I
deserve
suffer.
all of it, though.
But yeah, sometimes it's just like, am I really, like, is this really important? You know what I'm saying?
I know for a fact that
Yeah.
people would not know about black women in beer, black men in beer,
Yeah.
and the whole culture that you all have created in Atlanta.
You're right.
Had it not been for the universe saying, not this right now, this right now.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's a beautiful thing. So continue to walk in it, continue to grow in it.
I shall.
And listen, me and our other bestie Bree, we're gonna be our biggest. You're gonna be your biggest cheerleaders.
I
Be there
already
every
know.
time, and it's fantastic. We get to
It
travel
is.
the world and talk about things that we love, like this podcast and your beer. And we get to do it
Together.
Thanks to Cricket Wireless.
Thank you, Cricket.
Good God Almighty! Come on,
It's
dreams come
awesome.
true,
It's
right?
beautiful.
It's absolutely a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. So thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely.
Representing both outstanding institutions
That's
in Florida
right.
Agricultural Mechanical University and Bethune Cookman University.
That's right.
You get to wear both
I do.
in your
I
heart.
do. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing, physically and actually emotionally.
Absolutely.
For
Very
your
proud of
love
that.
for both. So
Very
Jen
proud.
Price, everybody, thank you so much.
Thank you, best friend.
Continue to do what you do, and we're gonna continue to do what we do here in Orlando for the Cool Soror Show, presented by Cricket Wireless. Thank you, everybody.